So how did I make $100,000 on a flip? Let's talk about the actual deal. So the deal was brought to me on Facebook, which we discussed. One of my deal sources is Facebook. I found the deal. I didn't walk through the house that day. My contractor did, but I was able to get back to the property the next day when I was under contract.
I'll make the money like magic.
First, you're saying you didn't look at the house before you went under contract. Correct. I had my contractor go look at it because my opinion of contract and his opinion of value are going to be equal to getting the job done. So this particular house, as you look from the pictures we're showing you right now, was a complete mess. A mess to an investor is opportunity to an investor. So this particular house was down to the studs all over the place. It was a complete mess of a home. And down to the studs meant I did not have to allocate dollars to go and take the property down. My contractor didn't have to do that because it was already down to the studs. So yes, the roof needed to be replaced. Yes, there was no kitchen that was livable or usable, but that is the opportunity. You're saying, holy smokes, these are complete disasters. And to me, this is a complete opportunity. So as I walked through the property, I realized there was a garage attached to the side of the house that was going to turn into a perfect man cave. And there was a massive amount of trees throughout the property that needed to be cut down. And there was a yard that was covered up with a bunch of garbage and nonsense that was ready for execution to turn this mess into what we'll show you the finished pictures in a little bit. And so executing on the plan, I called my contractor. After he gave me his number, I met him on the property. And we walked through the property to create that business plan that we talked about, right? So what are the business plans? So in various different scenarios, I'm trying to get to the finish line of making the $100,000. To make the $100,000, you have to have a buyer who's willing to pay you what you think the ARV is for the property, right? That all makes sense to you, right? So you have to go from point A to point B, and you have to, in between there, you have to make sure that somebody shows up to ring the bell at point B. Okay, point B is when they buy the house from you. Somebody finds the value, somebody wants to take care of you, take over the property, etc. So I found that person by renovating this property to a level of standards that to me were going to be warranted to a home buyer in the neighborhood. So I knew some family was going to move in here with some form of kids. It's got a great school district and it's got sidewalks. So it's a sidewalk neighborhood where a lot of people walk and move around. Winner, 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 right? I had to create a nice kitchen. I had to create bathrooms that were acceptable. In this community, there's a lot of 1 and 2 bathroom houses because they were old and that's how they were built back in the day. So this house was no different. This house had a really nice garage that came in off of an alley. And it also had a nice side garage that I never was able to figure out how somebody got into it with an automobile. So what happened? So I met my contractor. We went through the business plan. We struggled with one header wall where we said we really wanted to open up the house. He was going to look into doing some of that, which we ended up ultimately doing, and we executed on the business plan, right? The downside of the property was that it was on an alley, okay? So this sat on the corner of an alleyway. On the west side of the alley was apartments. On the east side of the alley were all single-family residents, with this property being the house that sat right on the alley. And I knew the biggest distraction for me to achieve ARV after repaired value of over 575 and to get to 599 was to overcome the alley, which was a problem for me. So I replaced the fence that surrounded the house. So the fence backyard was completely fenced in. We replaced it with a new fence. And we added this man cave, she cave, whatever you want to describe them to be, which allows for that indoor garage door to open up and have a grilling area, outdoor kitchen area right outside of this other garage that's attached to the kitchen. I have a great contractor. I had a great contractor that I partner with, and he does great work. The issue with contractors is they're either very busy, like mine is. They've got 50 projects going on, like mine does. Or they're incompetent, which mine is not. So I had to keep him on track. Hey, what's going on? Hey, why is no one here today? Hey, what's happening? Hey, where is this permit? Hey, how do I get to the finish line? It is a constant job. So working through that, And getting to the finish line was one of the biggest challenges. But I knew that once I did that, I was hopefully going to recover money from getting from 575 all the way up to the top ARV. So that occurred. And we finished the property. As you can see from the pictures, we finished the property, finishing the nuances, as you can kind of see through the pictures we're flipping through right now. The nuances of the attention to the detail takes so much extra time. You have to make sure that the place is clean. You got to make sure that all of the X's and O's are done. You got to make sure that all the water works, the hot water works, everything's done. You got to make sure everything's completed. And once you do that, you need to walk through it every single day to make sure that it's actually done. You have to spend the time to make sure that you're going to deliver a product that's going to work. So what do I do when I sell the property? On this particular property and all my properties that I'm selling, I stage them. So if you look at these pictures, this is someone else's furniture that's in this house that I rent, and they install it. They hang pictures on the wall. They put up all the nice decor. They make sure that each room looks like it's acceptable for livability, right? I always make sure that before the listing goes live, that professional pictures are taken. I make sure that it looks aesthetically pleasing to me and to anybody that's walking in. I have to overcome the white elephants, right? I got the alley, I got the apartments. I want top ARV. How do I get to top ARV? Overcome obstacles. So as I'm going to overcome these obstacles, I put the property on the market with a listing agent. I get, all of a sudden, I start getting dings. Showing. The first 5 days, I got 25 showing requests. Within the first 3 days, I got an accepted offer. The offer came with a financing package. The offer was at my asking price. 3 days later, I get an email. The financing is not going to go through. Some things have come up in their life. They're not going to be able to get a loan for this amount of money. Wow. I was a little bit devastated. I had a closing that was supposed to happen. It wasn't going to happen. I was all set up for it to happen. We flip it back to active, and 10 more showings come in. Showing requests. I'm like, wow, at least we're in a good area, right? At least I have potential buyers. It's showing requests. Somebody comes in and says, I love the house and I love everything you did. I'm writing you another offer. I said, oh my God, we're getting another offer. Okay, it's go time. And the offer is for $6,000 more than the previous offer. Holy hell. We're ready to roll. Accepted the offer, and they paid their earnest money, and their pre-approval letter, I gave a little bit more scrutiny to it, and it was a great pre-approval letter, and these people are super excited to buy the house, and here we go, and I'm ready to go. They're ready to go. Earnest money is dropped off, and we're under contract. What happens from the time we're under contract to the time we close? The one thing you have to get through every time you sell a home to a consumer is an inspection. This inspector went to town, and I got an amendment to the offer to fix so many different things in the house. And rather than be a loser and lose, I called my contractor. I went over the list with my contractor, and I accepted every single thing that they asked me to do, because winners win. Winners are going to get the deal done and make the money. So now that we've discussed the deal and we've showed you the pictures from before and after, let's talk about the money, right? So here's what you got to understand. If you're going to do this transaction, you need to have money. No matter where you are, skin in the game. If you're coming to us as a hard money lender or you're going to a private money lender, here's what you should expect to have. For rehabbers that have done deals before, you should expect to have 10% down. That would be $28,000. If you have never done a deal before, you should expect to have 20% down, which is $56,000, okay? Here's what you need to do. Lay out a business plan that makes sense. Figure out a return you can pay your investors and go and find the money. You got to find and expand your network to get to where you're going. OPM, other people's money, is exactly how you execute on this deal to make the $100,000, and it is seamless. Whether you're selling it to a lender, whether you're selling it to your mom or your dad or your family member, or whether you're selling it to any other private money lender, you need to create the plan to get to the finish line. I'm happy to help you. I'm happy to share how I did mine, and I'm happy to give you motivation to how you do yours.
This video is for informational purposes only and is not financial, legal, or investment advice. The Hard Money Co. is not a financial advisor. Always consult a licensed professional before making financial decisions. Real estate investing and hard money lending involve risks, including potential loss of capital. Past performance does not guarantee future results. Examples discussed are for illustration only and are not promises of similar outcomes.